In October 1965, a farmer in a small Ukrainian village called Mezhyrichi was digging a cellar under his own house. His shovel hit something hard less than 3 feet down. He figured it was a rock. It was a jawbone, way too big for any animal he'd ever seen. He kept digging. The bones didn't stop. Was this an Ice Age junk pile or something people actually lived in? Scientists are still arguing about that. The answer's coming, and it's not what you'd guess. Here's what everyone assumes at first. This was just a random pile of bones, an animal graveyard that built up over time. That version is easy to believe. It's also wrong. The dig was led by Ukrainian zoologist Ivan Pidoplechko. What he pulled out of the ground was a structure made from 385 mammoth bones, built with real engineering logic, not just thrown together. The foundation was made of skulls, 25 of them laid in a ring, foreheads facing inwards, stacked like bricks. 20 hip bones and 10 long bones were driven straight into the ground like support posts. On top of that base, they raised a second layer, 12 more skulls, 30 shoulder blades, 20 long bones, 15 hip bones, pieces of 7 spines, all overlapping like shingles. The result looked like a dome, similar to an Arctic Yaranga hut, except the frame was made of mammoth bone instead of wooden poles. A random junk pile doesn't form a dome, an engineer forms a dome. Now stop and think about what that actually means. You spend 30 years paying off a mortgage for status and a sense of security. For the person who built this dome, the question was a lot more brutal. Survive this winter or don't. There wasn't a tree for hundreds of miles. The Ice Age had turned this part of Ukraine into open steppe where winter wind could knock you flat and temperatures dropped well below zero. You built with whatever was actually lying around, and that meant bone. Mammoth meat fed a family for weeks. The fat replaced firewood in a place with no firewood. The hide became clothing and covered the dome's frame. Bones went into the walls last, only after the meat, fat, and hide ran out. Throwing away a mammoth vertebra meant risking not making it through the next winter. These homes weren't big. Similar dwellings found at this same site were only about 15 to 20 feet across. That's a size for one family, not a whole tribe. But here's where the picture gets a lot stranger. Where did that many bones come from all at once? You can't just kill an entire mammoth herd in one go. They're smart animals, and they scatter the second they sense danger. Archaeologist Olga Sofer proposed something different. Some of these bones weren't fresh kills at all. They came from natural buildups. Mammoth carcasses that died of natural causes got washed downriver over the years and piled up in the same spots on the riverbank. The people who built this house were hunters and scavengers at the same time. This home wasn't built from one lucky hunt. It was built from a graveyard the river had been quietly stockpiling for decades before anyone showed up to use it. The bones held onto the smell of meat long enough to pull in wolves from miles around. Free delivery of predators, straight to your front door. And the ash inside these hearths is mostly burnt bone. There's barely any charcoal in it at all. Firewood was so scarce that people burned pieces of the house itself just to survive the cold. The structure protecting them from death was slowly turning into fuel for that exact same purpose. How they moved bones weighing hundreds of pounds with no wheels and no pack animals is something science still hasn't fully figured out. Most likely, they dragged the heavy bones across the ground on hides, used poles as levers, and picked building sites near the river so some of the material could be floated or hauled across the ice. Mezhyrichi wasn't just one house. Archaeologists found 4 of them, numbered 1 through 4. The 4th one survived in the best condition, and for decades its age was estimated at around 15,000 years. In 2025, a team led by Wei Chu at Leiden University recalculated that number. Mammoth bone doesn't hold up well for radiocarbon dating because of contamination from surrounding minerals, so the team dated something else instead: the bones of small rodents found in the same soil layers. The new number came back older, around 18,000 years. And this house wasn't used in one long stretch. People kept coming back for up to 429 years in short visits, generation after generation, somehow still knowing the way to the exact same spot centuries later. And this is where the just survival story stops holding up. Inside the house, archaeologists didn't only find building material. They found a bone with scratched lines on it that some researchers read as the oldest known map of the surrounding land. They found a mammoth skull painted with red ochre, shaped like a drum. They found jewelry made from amber and shells that don't naturally occur anywhere near this region, carried or traded in from as far as 200 to 300 miles away. People with no paper maps and no money built a trade network stretching across half of modern Ukraine, and they did it while living inside a house built from the bones of extinct animals. This wasn't just a survival pod for one winter. It was a place where objects, meaning, and memory from an entire region kept flowing back in for generations. Today, this house looks like a curiosity: strange Ice Age architecture, a museum plaque, a surprise post on social media. For the people who actually lived here, it was never a curiosity. It was the only way to not die, and at the same time, the only place on Earth they knew was worth returning to over and over, generation after generation, for 429 years straight. Go back to that farmer with the shovel in his hand in 1965. He wasn't holding some random bone from a junk pile. He was holding a piece of an engineering solution over 15,000 years old, built without a single nail and with zero room for error. Real bone dumps don't have ash sitting exactly at the center of a structure, stone tools scattered around it, and food scraps buried in deliberately dug pits nearby. Mezhyrichi has all three at once. People lived here. They came back here. They kept building it up. And in 429 years, nobody ever just threw away an extra bone, because to them it was never trash. It was the wall standing between them and a sunrise that might never come. 385 bones. Not a single nail, zero room for error, and it's still standing, just not out on the step anymore. It's standing in your head now as a question. How much of what you're throwing away today someone else would have built their winter out of?